Hi guys, and welcome to my channel where I take a trip to one of my favourite UK theme parks and you're invited along for the journey. Have you guessed where we're going? That's right, it's Alton Towers. We start our day at the Alton Towers Hotel. I was staying overnight, which meant I had express complimentary parking. From the car park there are two methods of getting to the park entrance. There is a footpath, which is a bit of a trek, and then there is the monorail. I chose the easy route and grabbed a seat on the monorail, taking in the views of Nemesis as I went. The park's entrance is grand, with a vast array of multicoloured buildings as well as the historical towers in the distance. I made my way straight to guest services and picked up my fast track. Before we head to my first roller coaster of the day, I want to introduce you to the first two roller coasters that Alton Towers has to offer at the front of their park. You have Octonauts, a kiddie coaster manufactured by Zamperla, which I must admit I haven't been on yet. Spinball Whizzer is a family favourite that opened in 2004 and is also located at the front of the park. I have such a soft spot for this coaster, and at a height of 56 feet it just goes to show you don't need to be the tallest or fastest to be great. I'll get a ride on this later guys. Now let's get back to my day where I head straight for Wicker Man, a fantastic wooden roller coaster that opened in 2018. I love this coaster and all it has to offer, from the storyline, theming and music, and I dare say it's probably my favourite at the park. It may not be very tall, but what it lacks in height it makes up for in speed and whippy transitions. An absolute must guys if you're visiting Alton Towers. This coaster boasts fire effects, but unfortunately they haven't been working. That is until my second day, so make sure to stay tuned. I then made my way to X Sector, where you are greeted by the Smilers music, a song that can't help but stick in my mind every time I think of it. There were also some retro squad rides which were totally out of place in this area, but thankfully Alton Towers announced that they were finally leaving at the end of the 2023 season. What do you guys think should replace them? I would love to see a Scream and Swing by S&S. Oh yes, and that's where I also met Theme Park Worldwide. The Smiler was open, so I had to ride this next, my second favourite roller coaster at the park. It opened in 2013 and I remember it well as I was one of those people who waited 3 whole hours on opening day to ride it. Who else was there on opening day? It currently holds the world record for most inversions, standing at 14, but weirdly enough it doesn't actually make you feel dizzy like Colossus at Thorpe Park or sick at Flamingo Land. I absolutely love the theming of this ride. I mean, it's a bit of a strange one with riders essentially being marmalised into smiling, but the overall look is fantastic and really creates an atmosphere. If it's one thing Alton Towers does well, it's their themed roller coasters, and Nemesis will be no exception. After 2 rides on the Smiler, it was definitely time for Oblivion. Oblivion, believe it or not, was the prototype model of the dive coaster manufactured by B&M and opened in 1998. I can't say much more other than it's the only ride in the park that I'm scared to ride. It's that 180-foot drop gets me every time. To get to the next themed area, you need to walk past the towers, which are absolutely stunning. The towers were built in 1801, commissioned by Charles Talbot, the 15th Earl of Shrewsbury, and included, wait for this, a drawing room, dining room, chapel, library, long gallery, banqueting hall, conservatory, and entrance hall. Yep, it was and is huge. 14 years after the towers were commissioned to be built, Lord Shrewsbury and his wife moved permanently into it and began turning the farmland into the largest formal gardens in Britain. These gardens are still maintained by the park and they are absolutely beautiful. You used to be able to walk around the towers, but I'm really sad to say that they were closed to the public throughout the 2023 season. Within the towers is a very good flat ride called Hex, the Legend of the Towers. Unfortunately guys, Hex has been closed throughout the 2023 season as well, although I think it's due to make a comeback in 2024. It is a dark ride experience based on the local legend of the Chained Oak, which sits nearby. Here are some of my old photographs. This was such an eerie experience and really does make the legend come alive. The ride itself is brilliant, a Vekoma madhouse with a fabulous pre-show. I'm really sorry guys, but I hope you enjoyed that little piece of history, but let's get back to riding some coasters. I headed into the Dark Forest, which has another 2 rides called 13 and Rita. Rita is an Intamin hydraulic launch coaster that opened in 2005. It may be a short ride at 25 seconds long, but it really does pack a punch with its 61.1 miles per hour launch and tight, snappy turns. I just wish it was a little longer or had more meaning to it. 13 was unfortunately closed, so I will tell you about this one later in this video. Tucked away in the corner behind the Sky Ride is the Alton Towers Dungeons. This is an upcharge attraction and, as you can see, not popular because this part of the park was so quiet, if not almost deserted. After I had a few rides on the Wicker Man, the Smiler, Oblivion and Rita, I decided to head for the Curse of Alton Manor, which was new for 2023. I headed back to the Wicker Man and took the route through Haunted Hollow. This is a pathway filled with eerie statues and sound effects, which is pretty neat and fun for the kids. My favourite are the talking headstones, they always make me smile. You are then greeted by the new haunted house, which is a stunningly themed area. Can you believe it though? It was actually closed due to technical issues and seems to have been a running theme throughout the 2023 season. So I decided to make my way to Forbidden Valley instead, which wasn't too far away. Forbidden Valley is the home of 2 roller coasters as well as a few flat rides. The theming around the area is a little confusing to me, with Galactica sticking out like a sore thumb. Galactica was formerly named Air and opened in 2002. Did you know that Air, similarly to Oblivion, was also the first prototype flying roller coaster developed by B&M? I don't know if anyone remembered, but Galactica was rethemed along with virtual reality headsets, but it must have been a flop as it didn't last very long, and to be honest, I was never that keen anyway. I would love to see a retheme on this ride. Do you guys have any ideas on what you would like to see? I put my fast track to good use and had 2 rides on Galactica before heading to the observation platform for Nemesis. Who else is going to miss this platform? I'm not mad keen on B&M coasters, but Nemesis is by far one of my all-time favourites. It opened in 1994 and was one of the first B&M roller coasters to be built outside of the USA. Nemesis actually closed at the end of the 2022 season and has been undergoing a complete refurbishment ever since, with Alton Towers building up a storyline throughout the year to keep us all entertained and build suspense. It has been amazing watching the ride come to life with its vein detailing, and can't wait to ride it again in 2024. How many of you will be there on opening day? For anyone that doesn't know, the Nemesis creature was the station and was being held down by the roller coaster itself. The phalanx are now containing the area as the Nemesis creature has escaped. Are you as excited as I am for the new Nemesis? After a look at the construction site of Nemesis, I checked the app to find that the Curse of Alton Manor ride had reopened. The Curse of Alton Manor was the new attraction for the 2023 season, featuring a ghost called Emily Alton. It is essentially a ghost train with some effects, some of them reused from the old Duel ride. The pre-show is fabulous, with some really cool effects, and the haunted house from the outside is stunning. I have to be honest though, I was left a bit underwhelmed by the ride itself. The mirror effects were brilliant, with one giving me the heebie-jeebies, but I would have liked to have seen more high-tech animatronic type effects. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. After the Curse of Alton Manor, I decided to have a stroll through Katanga Canyon, where you have the Congo River Rapids. I didn't go on these this time guys, as I'm not keen on getting wet, as you can see in this photograph, but they're fun when you're with family or friends. I did have a ride on the Runaway Mine Train though, as it's a fun little family coaster and faster than you think. I love the part where you rush alongside the rapids, that's pretty cool. Sharkbait Reef is another nice little attraction, but I didn't visit this time around. Park hours were 10 AM until 4 PM, so the day just whizzed by. Before the park closed, I grabbed another few rides on Smiler, Spinball Whizzer and 2 rides on Wicker Man before heading to the hotel. I stayed until park closing, so the monorail ended up being very busy. It was a nice evening, so I figured walking would be fine. I'm so pleased I did, as I managed to get a close-up view of the unfinished section of Nemesis, which was pretty cool. I arrived at my car, grabbed my bags, then headed toward the hotel. The Alton Towers Hotel really is a beautiful building. I booked an Explorer room, but for some reason I was upgraded to an Arctic Explorer room. I really wasn't complaining. Check-in was really simple with lovely staff, couldn't ask for any more. They gave me my key for my ground floor room and meandered through the corridor until I reached my number. Oh my god, guys, the room surpassed my expectations. It felt really fresh and clean with a lovely calming theme. I loved it so much that I really wish my husband was there to enjoy it with me. Unfortunately, I did have to ask to be moved as there was a screaming baby next door which my headache really wasn't taking a liking to. The second room was just as lovely though. I went to bed pretty early and the bed itself was incredibly comfortable. The rooms are quite expensive, but for convenience as well as comfort, I definitely think they're worth it despite the hiccups that I had at the beginning. Morning came and I headed back into the park after a complimentary breakfast for round 2. Can you guess which roller coaster I went to first? Yep, you guessed it, my favourite, Wicker Man. I can't get enough of feeding those flames. Much to my surprise, the Wicker Man shoulder flames were actually working. I thought they were potentially preparing them for Scarefest, but the 5th of October seemed to be the only day they were operating. After my ride on Wicker Man, I had a check of the app and 13 had opened, so I rushed to Dark Forest for a ride on 13. 13 is a roller coaster with epic haunted theming manufactured by Intamin and opened in 2010. I absolutely love the soundtrack on this ride. Spoiler alert for those that haven't ridden it, but it was the world's first vertical free-fall drop roller coaster. The ride replaced the corkscrew, which had been at the park for 28 years. It's really nice to see Alton Towers display the iconic corkscrews of the ride at the front of the park. Yep, I used that word, iconic. It goes without question that I also had to grab another ride on the Smiler. I didn't have fast track on my second day, so took advantage of the single rider queue, which got me on the ride in quite literally 5 minutes. I highly recommend the single rider queue to anyone who wants to get on the ride when there is a long line, which, let's face it, with the Smiler there usually is. I realised that I'd missed out on Nemesis Subterra the day before, so hurried back to Forbidden Valley to catch a ride on this before I left. I forgot how good this attraction really was. It's not perfect and I'd love to see more effects when you exit the ride. Some screens with tentacles following you could be an awesome touch, but that aside, it's a great little ride and would recommend it to anyone. I won't spoil it for anyone that hasn't ridden it, but it is essentially a storyline which ties in with the Phalanx and Nemesis monster. I actually prefer this one to Curse of Alton Manor. If you enjoy my videos, guys, please hit that subscribe button and become part of the Coaster Life family. I live quite far away from Alton Towers and left early to get home with plenty of time to spare, but couldn't resist one last ride on the Wicker Man to finish my awesome time at Alton Towers. There were definitely a few hiccups, but I really did have such a brilliant time riding some of my favourite coasters in the UK. In true Rachel style, I couldn't resist a few souvenirs. I then went to the monorail, which was really quiet and had an eventful trip back home. Rookie error, I trusted the sat-nav. Catch you on the next one, and make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Are you as excited for the changes coming to Forbidden Valley as much as I am? Let me know in the comments.